everybody. This is Charles Cook, your host here at Cook Baxter. Great to be with you today. Today is in English. So, si tienen preguntas en español, por favor, póngalos y los contesto en español. Pero obviamente estoy aquí en inglés, listo para ayudar a todos a entender mejor inmigración. So today we're going to talk about immigration. And we got some really interesting topics today. Something that, because there's nothing, Trump's out of the country, so they haven't changed immigration law in the last week. I'm sure that'll come next week, although there have been a couple big things that came down, including today. Today's biggest news this morning is about employment authorization extensions, automatic extensions. And let's take a look at that. What immigration is saying this morning, effective today in an interim final rule. You know, these interim final rules that this administration is doing, they do know that there is payback, right? They do know that these will all be deleted in the next administration of the Democrat, if the Democrat has any brains at all. So today, the USCIS ended the automatic extension of EADs in virtually every category for anybody who's applying for an EAD extension today. So if you filed your EAD previously, you're fine. In fact, let's take a look at least what their press release said today about this EAD extension. Let me pull it up right here. Just take a second. If I could type words and letters in the right order, we'd be so much better here. USCIS. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And today, the Immigration Service said this. Oh, where is it? That's kind of crazy. Let's look at differently here, a different way of looking at this about employment authorization documents. So today, here's what immigration says. That an interim final rule, which means nobody talked about it before, but it's in place as of October 30th. So foreign nationals who filed to renew their employment card on or after tomorrow, so today is the last day you can renew and not be subject to this, will no longer receive an automatic extension of their EAD. This is a big deal. This is a big deal because a lot of folks, because immigration takes, by the way, a year. They take a year. But let's go look at the current processing times by USCIS. And I think there's going to be litigation on this. I think there needs to be litigation on this because I think making this interim final rule in no way meets any security requirements. But as of right now, as of this very moment, USCIS is taking to renew employment authorizations. Let's take a look at this. We're just going to do a basic based on a pending adjustment of status application. They're taking, per their website, only 3.5 months. That's, of course, not true. They're taking far longer than that. Let's take a look at the approved asylum application, how long they're taking for those. For those, they're taking, they got a serious problem. They're lying on their website because it's not taking them 3.5 months to renew applications. It's taking over a year in many applications. There's a pending renewal of an asylum work permit, and that's taking 6.5 months. Now, the general rule is you're not supposed to file for an EAD extension 6 months before the expiration. So if they're taking 6.5 months before the expiration, you're going to be out of work. You're going to be out of work. And in their silly announcement, here's what they said. USCIS recommends filing a timely renewal up to 180 days before it expires. The longer an alien waits to file, the more likely it is they may experience a temporary lapse in employment authorization or documentation. Because USCIS is not doing EADs. They're literally slow walking them on purpose so people will lose their jobs. They're intentionally doing this. So if you or somebody you know or an employee of yours is on a work permit, either because they filed for asylum, they have TPS, for example, they have a pending adjustment of status application, they have parole, there's many varieties of work permits out there. You've got you have an application for cancellation and removal. Hundreds of thousands of people have that, and that renewal period is 10 months. So they know this. They're canceling the automatic extension knowing that people will lose their jobs. What kind of evil people are these? Oh, stupid question. It was more it was really answered in the question itself, right? I mean, we know what kind of people they are that do this. These are evil people. You can quote me. This is evil people that end automatic extensions of work permits across the board, especially for cases in which USCIS knows that they take longer than 6 months to do these cases. They know it. So they know that they will be depriving individuals of the ability to support themselves and their families. What kind of evil people do this? So I just really answered that's evil people. So that's the first thing you need to be aware of. It just came out this morning. No notice beforehand, and I imagine that there'll be litigation on this because an interim final rule is generally done because there's an emergency of some kind. And they tried to say that here's their emergency justification is that a renewal on robust alien screening, common sense measure to ensure appropriate vetting and screenings be completed. What screening has to be done after they already have an employment card? You push a button and you run the background check. There's no screening that's done. This is a lie. I think this could be really fun litigation because I think you can get Joe Edlow on the stand. I think it'd be fun to depose this guy. I think this would be really fun to depose this guy. I don't know. We'll be suing on it. Maybe not us. We're kind of slammed right now, but there'll be others suing on this. Hey, next item, another big issue is the K-1 and F-1 Iran visa litigation that myself and our colleagues at Immigration Impact Litigation are doing. We are drafting the F-1 litigation right now. The K-1s have until the end of the month to sign up. We had a 100-person minimum in each of those pieces of litigation. Hopefully we'll get those numbers for the end of the month. The F-1 is being drafted. Jesse and I have been working this week on it. We hope to finalize it shortly. We're just now putting in all the plaintiff information. But one of the things we're missing from our plaintiffs on the F-1 for Iran is your visa application number. You were given a number, I think that starts with AA, I think. And we need that number, the case number, so that we can put that into our system. The SEVIS number doesn't really help us because that SEVIS is a USCIS issue, and we really need it for the visas. So hopefully reach out. I know an email was sent out to you today on the K-1s. I know somebody reached out. What's going on? As you know, we had a minimum number of people that we needed to join. We're getting close to that number. So if you know anybody else is ready to join, we're ready to move forward with that K-1 legislation. Of course, both of these pieces of legislation involve two things. One, the issuance of a visa, which the Department of State cannot deny. They have to issue a visa, and they also go after the travel ban. The travel ban is a bigger lift for F-1s and K-1s. K-1s are a hybrid immigrant, non-immigrant visa, and are treated as such by the consulates. And we know that K-1s are basically spouses of U.S. citizens that haven't got married yet. So there's no reason to treat K-1s as if they were non-immigrants of some kind, because they're clearly coming to immigrate to the United States. So they should not be subject to the ban. We've got a good argument on that. We'll put it together once we get enough plaintiffs. The F-1 litigation, we've got a very solid argument. We're going to win the issue of visa issuance. Then it just becomes down to a fight over the visa ban, and that's a tough fight. I mean, very few people have won that fight. We might not win that fight, but we're going to try. And I think that's what we can do here is try to get this pushed forward as quickly as possible now that we got enough plaintiffs to join the litigation. So that's our update on K and F litigation. The other thing that caught my eye today was this. Was this something about it was a story that came out today in the Atlantic about our coming population crash in the United States. This is a really interesting article in the Atlantic by Idris Kaloun. And they start out by this: Republicans have a net zero goal that they can finally get behind, not for carbon emissions, but for immigration. So right now, 2025 will be the first year in which we've had a net outflow of people from the United States. Now, you might say to yourself, good, we don't need those people here anyway. You would be wrong. You would be wildly, crazily, idiotically wrong. We don't want people leaving the United States. Our entire economy, our entire history is based on people coming to the United States. We need them, especially legal immigrants, but we've invited non-documented immigrants here for decades to support industries that are unable or unwilling to pay wages that might attract U.S. workers that we don't have. You see, we've managed to grow, at least to this point, the biggest economy in the world, created the most jobs over the last several decades. In fact, we've created far more jobs than we have people willing and able to do them. And we're staring at the edge of a demographic cliff with folks like me. And yes, I am a boomer. I'm more of a Jones generation, but I'm the end of the boomers. There's 78 million of us. There's only 46 million Gen Xers. We've got a massive population problem coming forward. And in the last census, which was taken in 2020, we had a barely registerable population growth, and it was only because of immigration to the United States. Well, we can't afford more immigrants. We can't not afford more immigrants. Immigrants have kept Social Security afloat for a decade. With them gone, Social Security is toast. All you old people that voted for Trump that think your Social Security is going to be around in 9 years, not with immigrants leaving, it's gone. So this whole net zero immigration thing is absolutely insane. I would recommend this article in the Atlantic about our impending population collapse because of Republican policies that, I mean, it's an inanity. Stephen Miller thinks it's 1924, and he thinks we need to get rid of immigrants, and somehow we'll get better. Did you not realize that between the Smoot-Hawley tariffs and the 1924 Immigration Act, that we created an economic recession, disaster, depression in the United States? If you don't think it can't happen again, you are sadly mistaken, and I suspect that it will. Good article. You should definitely take a gander at that. The next thing I wanted to talk about was about ICE. ICE is a little bit of trouble in New York, in Chicago, and this is probably something that's going to resound across the United States against ICE and Border Patrol, so DHS. So the head of the operations in Chicago now has to report daily to the federal judge over what and how their enforcement operations were run that day. He has to be at court at 6 o'clock every night, I think until like November 7th, to their next hearing, to tell them because they keep breaking the law. Why all of a sudden, when the Supreme Court has held for decades that your car, for example, is like a house, that officers can't get into your car without probable cause, and you being brown is not probable cause, and they can't break windows in a car without an emergent situation? Why does ICE keep doing it? Because they're not being held accountable by their bosses. Now, obviously, every one of these people is going to be accountable in 2029 to the next president. Because I do believe that J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio are not going to be president in the future. They will wear the shame of the Trump administration their entire lives. Do they not think there's accountability? There is accountability. I mean, besides the economic damage and the societal havoc and the damage to children that this inanity is doing without any real impact, okay, other than scare people, right? They're scaring people. And don't believe the lies about ICE, about immigration deporting 500,000 people. That just didn't happen. That's just literally unsupported by any objective evidence at all, especially since ICE won't give you the numbers anymore. They stopped reporting their numbers. So obviously you can't believe them. So what's going on here? Well, courts are finally flexing their muscles, which they have, to force the administration to be accountable for actions that are damaging to society and which violate our own laws. So we got that going on. And the last thing, so just keep an eye out for it. That's coming to probably a court near you soon. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is immigration bond. So about 2 months ago now, the Board of Immigration Appeals, in a decision by Keith Hunsucker, former government lawyer here in Atlanta, and somebody I've known for 30 years, he wrote a decision at the Board of Immigration Appeals. Now, the Board of Immigration Appeals, they're not real judges, okay? They're not real judges. They are employees of the Department of Justice. They do what the Attorney General tells them to do. So they're a political animal. Issued a decision that made no sense in the law. None whatsoever. And the decision basically is, if you came illegally, no matter how long ago you came, you are not eligible for bond from an immigration court. It's a decision that has no basis in law. How do we know? Then, well, why would they do it then? You think they're just lying and making stuff up? Yeah. I don't know what happened to Keith, but can't believe he wrote that decision. So what's happening? So to get somebody out of immigration custody who entered the country illegally, even if they've been here 30 years, they got kids, they have a pending green card application, we have to go to federal court and file a petition for writ of habeas corpus. Now, this is called the Great Writ. This writ has been in existence for 1,000 years. And basically, you ask a court to have the jailer, in this case ICE, produce the body, bring the person into court, and justify why they're being held. So in these cases, we file in the court where they're being held. So here in Georgia, that's mostly in the middle and southern districts of the state. And they are then brought to that court in a hearing context, and ICE has to explain to a federal judge why this brand new Board of Immigration Appeals decision, which overturns 35 years of law and policy, is legal according to the Immigration Nationality Act and the Constitution. Now, you may be surprised that there have been several hundred habeas cases filed. Maybe even more at this, maybe 400 at this point. There have been approximately 150 decisions, and 148 of them have gone against ICE. The two others were a little weird, and there were factual scenarios that maybe were problematic. But that means the Immigration Service is betting 0.7% in winning these cases. ICE is losing all the time. Now, the problem is, and if they keep losing, why do they hold the people? And we had this come up today. So we had a woman detained in Louisiana. She is adjustable. She can get her green card. She's perfectly eligible for a green card today. She's 65 years old. She was picked up on the street in Houston, and ICE has been holding her for a month. Even though, in Louisiana, she's been held in Louisiana, even though that district has a decision saying that Board of Immigration decision is illegal. You have to give a bond. Today, the judge said, until there's a Fifth Circuit decision, I'm not going to give a bond, which is bizarre because federal district court judges, they carry weight as well. I have had many immigration judges cite to decisions of the district court judges to justify their position. But when it goes against them, they don't do it. Now, we're a long way from getting circuit court decisions on this case, probably 6 or 8 months, so we'll keep filing habeases. So understand, if you have a relative or a friend who is picked up by ICE and they don't have a legal entry, they're going to need to file a petition for a habeas corpus directly and just skip the bond process at this point because judges are simply ignoring the process that should exist to release these individuals. So again, lots of crazy stuff going on in the law. And I think that's it. Let's take a look at some of these great questions that I'm sure we have today. Now, by the way, you should know, of course, that if you want to reach me, you can make an appointment at 404-816-8611. That's 404-816-8611. You can go on our website and make an appointment for me or any of our 10 lawyers. They're all great. You can talk to all of them. They'll give you the same advice I would give you. They're all well trained by me. Or you can email. You get a question. You just give a question. So I have a question. I don't want to make an appointment. I just want a question. Email me. I answer my emails, all of them myself. I don't have somebody answer them. I email them, I answer them myself. And of course, you can follow my political rantings on Twitter. So let's go back over here and take a look at some of these comments here and these questions. BD Arts Cantino, good to see you. Buenos dias. ACV, I am affected by the permanent ban because of re-entry at trial. Do I really have hope if I'm able to do a BP and find a husband, of course? Look, we're actually about to litigate this issue. I think it's being filed literally as we speak, a federal court case on this. I do believe you have hope. I think the permanent bars applied to children is illegal. We've actually won a couple of these cases on affirmative filings with USCIS because we answer all the questions truthfully, but it's quite clear that the very definition of unlawful presence, which creates a 10-year ban, includes an exception for minors. And it has to. Why would you permanently bar a child? Why would you do that? So ACA 989, yes, you should get advanced parole. We should 100% do that and find a spouse. Thank you, Carmen, un placer. ¿Cuándo va a dar noticias de DACA? I didn't do any DACA noticias today because there is no news on DACA today. There's just nothing's happened in the last week. I gave a big update last week and there's just kind of nothing going on. So there's no reason for an update today. Moises, hello, Mr. Cook. I understand a DACA recipient from a P to obtain a legal has to pay $1,000. No, there's not an annual fee. It's just when you come back in the country in advance parole. What we don't know is if you have a multiple entry advance parole, you have to pay each time. That we don't have an answer to. But it's not an annual fee. That's asylum, and it's a $100 fee a year. Hello, I have an asylum case I just recalendared 2 months ago. The case was administrative closed 22. I got detained on a rate. What are the chances of being let go? Well, if you have an unlawful entry, I just explained, you're going to have to get a habeas. If you have not been detained, then nothing in being let go. I don't know enough about your asylum case to tell you whether it's good or not. Hola, abogado. Gracias por compartir su conocimiento con nosotros y despejar nuestras dudas. Si sabrá algo de DACA, nuevas aplicaciones, sin embargo, no tenemos ninguna información sobre DACA esta semana porque nada ha cambiado desde la semana pasada en que hice un update muy larga en español. They think working and paying taxes is a bad thing. Yeah, it's just crazy, right? My removal order that was waived through Visa U appears. Can I still go? Yes, you can go to your N400 website. That's fine. But you can also move to reopen that case and terminate it. We've done that frequently for folks in your situation. Dalia Andrade, since they are taking longer to renew EADs, should DACA be renewed? I've told you all for years, you should file your DACA renewal 1 year in advance. Haven't I, Thalia? Haven't I done that? Yes, I have. You should renew your DACA 1 year in advance, 100% of the time, every day of the week, and twice on Sundays. That's what you should do. Good afternoon, Mr. Cook. I've heard anything of the changes for green card traveling outside the U.S. Heard he wants to do this fit bridge. Well, 29 Super C, I have news for you. They've been doing this. They've been doing this on a trial basis. I've had my picture taken a number of times leaving the United States. It's done by the airlines. When you get on, as you board, they have a camera there, and that camera takes your picture. So yeah, they've been doing this. They're just going to do it for everybody. This, by the way, this was authorized. This was authorized in 1996. They just never done it. The technology to do it is finally here. So now they're doing it. So at least for airline departures, they'll be doing that. I don't know about the border, but for airline departures, yeah, you're going to have, when you board, your picture's going to be taken. Yep, going to be happening. They've been even doing it. How much does it take for a motion to reopen? Do you think there will be delays with the government shutdown? Well, the courts are not shut down, right? Courts are not shut down, but there's definitely delays in the court. And motions to reopen right now, it depends on the court. LA might take a year, but San Antonio might take 2 months or a month. It just depends on where you are. The audacity to increase fees and then become more incompetent. Yes, thank you very much, Carlos. We're ready to sue. Yes, I bet you are, Vanessa. Good morning. My brother wants to petition my parents. One is from Mexico, the other from Nicaragua. No legal entry for either. I recommend he not do it. because if they don't have a legal entry, they have to leave the country for 10 years. So why would you do it? Why would you say, hey, my mom and dad are living here, here's their address? Why would you do that? I mean, if they really want a green card, they should leave the country unless both one or both of your parents have themselves a parent who's a resident or citizen. They're going to have to leave for 10 years. So leave now, leave in a year, leave in 10 years. You're still going to leave for 10 years. That rule is unlikely to change. Any update on the mandamus lawsuit? I know it's pretty much null, but still curious what's going to happen at the end of the month call. Oh, you're talking about the DACA case. Yeah, we're going to have a call probably, if not on Friday, then Monday next week in the evening about that. But no, there's nothing going on right now. The court case is closed, basically. The court is basically stopped right now because of the shutdown. Mr. Cook, how can I contact Chicago Lockbox? We are still waiting for the receipt since August. Yes, Marcus. There is a front log problem. There's no way to contact the lockbox. You just got to wait. They're taking 2 to 4 months to open on the rail. I mean, it's all intentional. It's all intentional. Hello, likelihood DACA judge ruling gets pushed back further. Oh, it definitely going to get pushed back further. I think the end of the year now with the shutdown, because they're just not working on the case. All the government's briefing has been delayed for as long as the case is shut down. So yeah, I don't think we'll have a ruling before January at this point. Raquel, hello. How can I book a consultation? You can go to my website at www.immigration.net and book it there, or at the end you'll see my phone number and you can go there. My husband came as a child illegally, caught at the border, never went to court. He has DACA, legal entry advance pro, just on his deportation order. Thing is, our church has made a position for him as a minister because the pastor. Well, the 360 is not going to help him. It's not going to help him. I mean, do you have papers? Because you're more likely to help him as a spouse if you're a U.S. citizen. But I'm happy to talk to you about it. We can certainly move to reopen his case, but that doesn't solve his problem. You can't adjust status in the United States through employment, through the advanced parole, except through a spouse or a child who's 21. But Raquel, I'm happy to talk. Call and make an appointment. Amy. I had the master this morning, and my other for 2 years. Just set my next hearing for 226. What are your options now? You can file a mandamus in federal court. If you file it this month, I can almost guarantee you'll have an I-130 approved before February. But the reality is, if you have a legitimately pending I-130, the court is required to give a Garcia. It's called a matter of Garcia continuance, and you just might have to be reminded that that's the case. Scheduled for second master, what should I expect? Will they set an individual after that? Yes. If you have something to be individual for, otherwise they can extend it again. No legal entry. My wife wants to show me I can apply for work permit while waiting for the process. No, there's no work permit if you don't have a legal entry in the United States. APs, how long are AP with no legal entry taking? You're talking how long does an advanced parole take for somebody who's here undocumented under DACA? It's taking 11 months right now, more or less. Thanks for writing for the GO plaintiffs. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Talib Dejan, it's good to see you. I hope life is treating you well. Oh, you are very kind, Edgar. I wish my wife would say the same thing. Oh, she does. My wife's awesome. Also, they violated that special agreement in Chicago because they might release 3,000 immigrants arrested because it was, wouldn't that be nice? That would be nice. Oh, these guys are amazing. I mean, they're just a clown show on wheels. What should someone with DACA say if questioned by ICE? I have DACA. Here's my work permit. Here's my approval notice for DACA. They should let you go. There's no reason they should detain you. Castañon Nava versus challenging warrantless IRSs. There you go. Can you explain to us the announcement this morning? I did explain that, Maciel. Go back to the first part of the video today. I did explain that in detail. Hello, Mr. Cook. What would you recommend to someone if they don't have DACA yet and run into ICE? I can't. As a lawyer, I cannot tell you to run. As a lawyer, I cannot tell you to act as a citizen. I can't tell you to lie. I'm not going to lose my license over this. You got to tell the truth. Any updates on or just be better, exercise your right to remain silent. You have every right in the world not to answer any questions. ICE is not the police. If the police, you generally have to give your name. Here's my name. But ICE is not the police. They're not. I'm not answering your questions. They don't have probable cause to arrest you because you won't answer questions. Any update on pending new DACA applications? No. That's why I didn't talk about it. Is advanced parole still considered a legal entry if you get picked up by ICE? Yeah, it's a legal entry if you get picked up by ICE. Can a DACA fly in the U.S.? Yes. You bring your work card and your approval notice. Generally, just your work card and your driver's license is fine. Usually, just your driver's license is all you need for TSA. Does the new EAD order include DACA? Well, DACAs aren't automatically extended, so it doesn't apply to DACA. DACAs have to have an approval. They were never part of the automatic extension. Can you still file habeas if you have a 212 and 601 approved on the way free? Yes, you can file habeas, absolutely. What happens if you have DACA and get a voluntary departure? Well, why would you take voluntary departure? If you have DACA, you should file a motion to terminate because you shouldn't be in removal proceedings because you can't be removed. If DACA gets stopped by ICE, what documents should be shown? Show your driver's license, and that's it. And if you're within 100 miles of the border, you have to carry your ID with you, so you show them your DACA card if you're within 100 miles of the border. Does DACA advanced parole count as a legal entry? Yes, it does, for purposes of adjustment of status through marriage or a child over the age of 21. I have DACA. My niece is graduating from Navy boot camp from the Naval Grade Safe. Is it safe for me to travel for it is safe for you to go, yes. Any success with naturalists on those on the ban list? No. So if you are Iranian, basically the waiver, the national interest exemption that's in the newest ban is basically unattainable, and you can't apply for it. So I guess if you get an EB1, an EB2, NIW to cure cancer because you cured cancer, they're probably going to waive you. But anything short of that, I don't. And even then, I'm not sure they're going to waive it. Sir, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. I've heard from some news that Trump is taking away 765s. No, I mean they want to get rid of some EADs, but I think there'll be a problem in court if they do that. If you have a legal entry, copy 94, copy of doc approval, yeah, then carry them with you. Good thing to have. Mariuri Peña, buenas tardes, abogado Mariuri, ¿cómo estás? Dios le bendiga. ¿Qué está pasando con los permisos de trabajo? Ya no se van a pedir renovar, incluye DACA. DACA es aparte. DACA es aparte. Van a renovarlos, simplemente no es una extensión inmediata. Entonces tiene que renovarlos 6 meses antes. Por DACA es un año antes. Good afternoon. Is DACA litigation? Yes, it's still pending. Nothing going on there. We've got bendiciones, abogado. We put, gracias. Saludos a Dustin. Lo haré, Efraín. How much is the consultation fee? We never talk about consultation or money here because we're online and everybody's case is different. But if you want a consultation, you can book it on our website at www.immigration.net, or you can call us at 404-816-8611, and I'll put that number up here in a second. How does the DAD affect DACA recipients? It doesn't affect it at all because there is no automatic DACA exception. Sarai, what is happening with the change in not being able to pay with money orders now? Yes, you have to pay with an ACH bank transfer or a credit card. Those are your two options. Bank account, transfer, or credit card. Those are the only two options you have. So what we do, we actually can create credit cards for people. People give us money, and we can create a one-use credit card that will pay that fee. So most lawyers are doing that as well. Have you had any cases approved with AP, no legal entry? Yes, we had one approved last week. My sister just got married to a citizen, but she has a deep order in absentia. Is she safer to try to reopen a case? Well, does she have a legal entry? Because if she doesn't have a legal entry, we've got to figure that out first, Andre. Does that EAD include DACA recipients? No. One more question. Is it possible when you get information on the new citizenship test questions that you would let your answers know? And yes, I actually do have the new citizenship questions. And let's put those up right now. We can find the test here. We're going to get down to the test here. Where are we? Let's see. Where are we? We got the test here. Let's see. Saw it yesterday, and the new test for it with the 128 questions is now up. Failed to answer 9 questions incorrectly. So where? I know I saw it yesterday because I printed it out. Oh, there it is. There it is. So if you go, here it is right here. Let me share the screen. If you go to the test, it's right here. Here's the civics test 2025. And the test questions, there's 128 test questions right here. And they're silly. I mean, what is the economic system of the United States? Come on. The many documents influence the Constitution. Name one. And these are not any harder than the last questions. They're just going to ask you more of them. Going to ask you more of them. You got to get 12 out of 20 instead of 6 out of 10. Why? Because they can slow down the process. So there you is. The website is uscis.gov. Just Google 128 civics questions. It's Form M1778. Surprised they weren't cute. It made it Form 1789. That would have been cuter, but I guess they're not that smart. ¿Qué aplica para Advance Pro? ¿Quién aplica? Todos los que son elegibles. Are there any specific people being detained in immigration court? It just depends on the court. We haven't seen a lot of detentions here in Atlanta recently. It just depends on, are there beds available for that ICE office to send people? But generally, people they're detaining are either people who take a fund order, people who have less than 2 years in the United States. Those are typical people that they're detaining. Una pregunta, ¿será posible que me pueden dar un permiso de emergencia? Mi mamá murió. Si usted tiene DACA, sí. Si no tienes DACA, no. Does the EAD auto extension affect DACA renewals? No. Is it safe for someone with a deportation order and no way to apply for legal to ask for FOIA? Here's how I would ask for FOIA. Well, first of all, if you put your address down, obviously they have your address. So if you use a P.O. box, yeah, it's safe to do it. Or you have a lawyer do it for you, and they, of course, use their address and don't have to disclose yours. I have DACA, live in Texas, when residence expires in August. Is it better to renew? I would renew right now if I were you. We had somebody get approved in like 3 days on Dreamers Together. So yeah, go ahead and renew it now. Again, you should be renewing a year out. God, how many times I got to say that? My friend has a misdemeanor Class B for DEC in 2014, was dismissed. He has legal entry AP through DACA. His wife is a citizen. Can he legal? No, the misdemeanor is not a problem. He doesn't have a misdemeanor. He just has an arrest. He was dismissed, so he can adjust status. Have him give us a call. We'll help him out. Alan, I was brought to the U.S. when I was 6 months old. Is there really no other way to complete LAS unless I do AP with DACA for legal entry? Correct. That is it. And with marriage to a spouse. Have you had any success towards a motion via the Calderon settlement? No, not recently. So can the firm pay the fees and then add it to our local? No, the firm doesn't pay. You would give the firm your money. We would then issue the one-use card. So we don't pay the fee. We get paid and we just use your money to pay it to the card that we create. I have a question. Are ICE detaining DACA recipients? Not that I'm aware of. Mom, no legal entry here, 22 years, married to USC and 21-year-old son. Who should petition? The son should sponsor if he makes enough money. And the spouse should do the waiver. That's what I think should happen if the son makes enough money. Advice for those who have no legal status get pulled over by ICE. How can they refuse to get in the car? Look, you have no legal obligation to answer any questions. You have a right to remain silent. You just say, you don't never resist arrest. But you say, I'm not answering any questions. I want a lawyer. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. And just sit there with your arms in plain view. Put your hands on the dashboard. Just say, I'm not answering any questions. And just stare straight ahead. Don't resist. Don't answer any questions. Keep in mind, ICE has an app on their phone. And if you've ever been photographed, they will take your picture. They will see it's you. They now have probable cause to go in your car. So if you've never been encountered by ICE before, then you have a right to remain silent. And you keep saying, am I free to go? Am I in custody? Do you have custody over me? If they say no, you just drive slowly away. Thalia, my mother applied for naturalization on October 17th. She will take the old test, Thalia, the old test. My husband has a deportation order, but is waiting for his waivers to be approved. Can he file for habeas corpus? No, because he has an order removal. He cannot. Any news about DACA? No news about DACA. 29 Super C, always good to see you. Evelyn Maldonado, si tengo DACA, estoy esperando la cita. Chévere. Mariana García, me aprobaron el perdón. ¿Cuánto tarda para llegar a una cita a Juárez después de que mando los papeles necesarios? Ahorita es como 12 meses. It's como 12 meses. Luis Resendez, hello again. My aunt has her EAD through Visa U. When is it going to do her AOS? 3 years after the approval of her U visa. She can apply for adjustment. Could Trump wake up one day and decide he doesn't count as legal entry? He could try. But he's going to lose that in court every day of the week and twice on Sundays. And our last question today. Hello, another question. If someone gets questioned by ICE with a pending asylum application, what are the chances of being taken into ICE? They're good. They might arrest you if you have an illegal entry. You're welcome about the H-1B lawsuit. We keep working on it. I think we're going to win that. We're looking at doing some more work to get a faster decision right now. And you're welcome, Jenny. It's great to have you with us. Again, everybody, you can reach me by email at ccook@immigration.net. That's how you can reach me. I'll answer any questions. You can call for an appointment at 404-816-8611, or you can do an appointment on our website. I'm Charles Cook. I'm the founding partner here at Cook Baxter. It's great to be with you this week. I'll be back next week in Spanish. Same bat time, same bat channel, 1 o'clock on Wednesdays. Have a great week. Goodbye.